There is a technique that Asian farmers have used for over 60 years to grow billions of living organisms in a single bucket. A method so effective it doubled crop yields while cutting water use by 30%. A practice so threatening to industrial agriculture that the man who systematized it was arrested multiple times, beaten by police, and left for dead. Today, the global fertilizer industry is worth over $200 billion. They sell you synthetic nitrogen for soil that grows more lifeless with every application. They publish curricula that treat dirt as dead chemistry. They have built an entire economic model around your dependency. This technique requires no patents, no factories, no supply chains. It costs less than a kilogram of potatoes, and they have spent decades ensuring you never learned it existed. This is the story of the soil hack they tried to bury. The archive opens in 1935 in Suwon, South Korea. A boy named Cho Han-kyu begins working his family's farm at age 13. By his 20s, he watches American industry arrive in post-war Korea. Chemical fertilizers, synthetic pesticides, the promise of something called the Green Revolution. But Cho sees what the salesmen do not advertise. He sees soil dying. He sees farmers growing dependent on purchases they cannot afford. He sees ancient knowledge passed down through generations of Korean and Japanese farmers, being systematically erased and replaced with products that must be purchased season after season. He refuses to accept it. Cho travels to Japan to study under masters of natural agriculture. His first teacher is Yamagishi Myojo, a farmer who believed that farming was reality and life itself, that the spirit and mind mattered more than technology and management. His second teacher, Shibata Genji, opens his eyes to the remarkable world of enzymes and microorganisms. Cho would later say he still cherishes Shibata's book, The True Aspect of Enzymes. His third teacher, Oinue Yasushi, teaches him to maximize regional resources for enhanced harvests without external input. Cho returns to Korea in 1966 and founds what he calls the Labor-Saving Abundant Harvesting Study Group. He combines Japanese enzyme research with traditional Korean fermentation, the same principles that created kimchi and other preserved foods, and he begins teaching farmers a revolutionary concept. Soil is not dead, soil is alive. And if you feed the life in soil, the soil will feed your plants without any purchased input whatsoever. His method centers on something called indigenous microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, yeasts, and protozoa, collected from undisturbed forest floors, cultivated in simple nutrient solutions, using rice or potatoes as food sources, and reintroduced into depleted agricultural land. The technique is devastatingly simple. A handful of leaf mold from a forest floor, a boiled potato or cooked rice, brown sugar or sea salt, non-chlorinated water, time. Within 36 to 72 hours, those ingredients multiply into billions of living organisms perfectly adapted to local conditions. Farmers applied this solution to their fields. The microbes colonize the soil. They unlock nutrients already present in mineral form. They outcompete pathogens through sheer numbers. They build soil structure and improve water retention. They do for free what chemical companies charge fortunes to approximate poorly. His teachings spread across rural Korea. Farmers learned to cultivate their own fertility from materials available on their own land. They stopped buying fertilizers. They stopped buying pesticides. And then, the arrests begin. Cho Han-kyu was imprisoned multiple times under pressure from agricultural companies who did not see eye to eye with his teachings. Consider what his methods meant for their business. A farmer who cultivates fertility from forest floor and kitchen scraps is a farmer who stops purchasing synthetic inputs. Multiply that across thousands of farms, and you have an existential threat to an industry worth billions. He was beaten by police so severely that once they called his wife to come collect what they believed was his body. He was not dead. He kept teaching. When asked why he was willing to die for this knowledge, he said he had decided to practice natural farming to save people from harmful food and to save the environment from destruction. But his methods worked too well to suppress forever. By the 1990s, Cho was contributing to a 21-part article series in the Japanese magazine Modern Agriculture. He published books that were translated into multiple languages. He traveled to over 30 countries, training farmers who called him Master Cho. He opened the Natural Farming Life School and Research Farm in Goesan County in 1995. By 2019, he had trained over 18,000 people worldwide. South Korea eventually adopted natural farming as national agricultural policy after county-wide trials showed farmers increasing yields, saving money on inputs, and selling rice at premium prices. The results were undeniable. Rivers ran cleaner wherever these methods were practiced. Coastal waters recovered. An entire county achieved self-sufficient farming, with each farm raising 500 chickens, 20 pigs, and 5 beef cattle using nothing but natural inputs produced on site. The man they tried to silence had trained an army of practitioners who carried his knowledge across the globe. Master Cho died in early 2025 at age 89, having spent 60 years proving that soil was meant to be alive. But his son, Yongsang Cho, had already taken the methods further. In 1991, the younger Cho founded an organization called Jadam, a Korean word meaning people who resemble nature. He simplified his father's techniques for large-scale agriculture and made a decision that would define his legacy. He refused to patent anything. Every technology, every recipe, every innovation was published freely for any farmer in the world to use without payment or permission. Today, Jadam has approximately 100,000 members worldwide. The techniques are available in over 20 languages. The knowledge spreads despite every institutional resistance because it cannot be owned, controlled, or commodified. The younger Cho established the Jadam Natural Pesticide Institute in 2002 and has continued integrating knowledge from experienced farmers worldwide to complete the system of ultra-low-cost organic farming. But the Chos did not invent this. They recovered it. Korean rice cultivation traces back over 3,000 years, with paddy field management documented as early as 1100 to 850 BCE. These were biological systems managed through relationships between water, soil organisms, and plant life rather than chemical inputs. Japanese agriculture developed around sacred soil rituals and fertility spirits, organic cycles, and waste-nothing systems that fed civilizations for millennia. Across East Asia, farmers understood what modern science is only now confirming. Soil is not a mineral substrate requiring chemical amendment. Soil is a living ecosystem containing more organisms in a single handful than there are humans on Earth. In India, fermented plant extracts and composting techniques developed independently over thousands of years. In the Philippines, farmers used similar microbial solutions for generations before anyone wrote them down. Traditional agriculture worldwide operated on a simple principle. You feed the soil, and the soil feeds the plant. Half the world never forgot this principle. The other half was taught to forget through aggressive marketing, institutional education, and economic pressure. Now let me show you exactly what they do not want you to know. The Jadam microbial solution requires 5 ingredients you can gather today: Leaf mold. A handful collected from an undisturbed forest floor, the thin layer of decomposing organic matter beneath fallen leaves where indigenous microorganisms thrive in astronomical numbers. Potato. One small potato boiled until soft, providing carbohydrates and starches as food for microbial reproduction. Sea salt. About 2 teaspoons or 330 milliliters of seawater, providing trace minerals and regulating the microbial environment. Non-chlorinated water, either rainwater or tap water left to sit uncovered for 24 hours to allow chlorine to dissipate. A 3-gallon bucket. Fill the bucket with water. Add the sea salt. Place the cooled boiled potato and the leaf mold into separate mesh cloth bags. Cheesecloth works perfectly. Suspend both bags in the water from a stick laid across the top of the bucket. Massage the potato bag to release starch into the solution. This starch becomes food for microbes, allowing their populations to explode. Cover the bucket loosely with cardboard or wood to allow air circulation while keeping out debris and animals. Wait. Within 12 to 36 hours in warm weather, phloem begins forming on the surface of the water. Bubbles appear and multiply. This is microbial activity made visible. Populations are doubling as they feed on the starch, multiplying rapidly. The solution becomes thick and vibrant with life. When the foam peaks, thick and actively bubbling, you have a 6 to 12-hour window of maximum potency before the microbes exhaust their food supply and begin dying off. Dilute 1 part solution to 20 parts water. Drench your soil heavily. Apply weekly or with every watering for optimal results. The cost to make 500 liters of this biological inoculant is approximately the price of 1 kilogram of potatoes. Compare that to commercial microbial products selling for hundreds of dollars per application. Why does this work when it seems impossibly simple? Because soil is not chemistry. Soil is biology. Indigenous microorganisms include bacteria that fix nitrogen from atmospheric air and solubilize phosphorus locked in mineral form that plants cannot access. They include fungi, particularly mycorrhizae, that extend plant root systems by orders of magnitude, creating networks that allow access to water and nutrients far beyond what roots could reach alone. They include yeast that produce enzymes, accelerating organic matter decomposition, turning dead plant material back into fertility. They include protozoa that regulate bacterial populations and release plant-available nutrients as metabolic byproducts. Research conducted at the University of Hawaii College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resources identified specific bacteria, Bacillus subtilis and Bacillus licheniformis, as dominant only in soils treated with Korean natural farming methods. These powerful plant growth promoting bacteria were not present at comparable levels in conventional or standard organic farming systems. Studies determined that the collection site of indigenous microorganisms plays an integral role in effectiveness, and that applying a second application 14 days after the initial treatment significantly increases plant yield. Crop productivity in Hawaii doubled with the use of these methods, while reducing water use by 30% and eliminating the use of synthetic pesticides entirely. Plants showed greater resistance to disease through competitive exclusion, where beneficial microbes simply outcompete pathogens for resources. Fruits grew larger over longer production periods. Perhaps most remarkably, the soil itself became less compacted, more porous, and more capable of sustaining growth without external inputs. Earthworm populations increased. Soil structure improved visibly. These microbes unlock nutrients already present in your soil that plants could not otherwise access. They outcompete pathogenic organisms through competitive exclusion. They build soil structure by producing substances that bind soil particles into stable aggregates. They do this continuously, reproducing, cycling nutrients, maintaining fertility season after season without a single additional purchase. Now compare this to pouring synthetic nitrogen into soil for decades. Soil acidification occurs as ammonium nitrogen accumulates beyond what plants can absorb. Bacterial populations crash as pH drops. Fungal diversity collapses as mycorrhizal networks are destroyed by excess available phosphorus, which signals plants they no longer need fungal partners. Microbial populations shift toward pathogenic strains that thrive in degraded conditions while beneficial organisms decline. Plants become dependent on external inputs because their symbiotic relationship with soil biology has been chemically severed. Long-term chemical fertilizer use has been shown to dramatically decrease soil pH, reduce bacterial diversity by significant percentages, and cause major shifts in microbial community composition toward less beneficial species. The soil no longer feeds the plant through biological processes. The farmer feeds the plant directly through chemical application. Every season, forever, and every season, the farmer must purchase more inputs from the same companies that created the dependency in the first place. This is not accident. This is architecture designed to generate recurring revenue. In the 1960s, the Green Revolution began spreading high-yield crop varieties worldwide. Dwarf wheat developed from Japanese varieties. Miracle rice was bred at the International Rice Research Institute in the Philippines. Crops were specifically engineered to absorb massive amounts of synthetic fertilizer and convert it into grain yield. Between 1970 and 1990, fertilizer use in developing countries increased by 360%. Pesticide use climbed 7 to 8% annually, year after year. Yields doubled. Famines were averted in India and Pakistan. Norman Borlaug won the Nobel Peace Prize. But there was a cost they did not advertise. The new seeds required purchased inputs to achieve their potential yields. Farmers could not save seeds or maintain fertility naturally using traditional methods. Fertilizer production depends entirely on fossil fuels. Natural gas for ammonia synthesis, through the Haber-Bosch process alone, accounts for 1 to 2% of global energy consumption. Soil became a delivery mechanism for purchased chemicals, not a living system capable of generating its own fertility. And the companies selling seeds, fertilizers, and pesticides built a market worth over $200 billion annually. You cannot patent leaf mold. You cannot sell a farmer their own forest floor. If microbes naturally cycle nutrients from organic matter, there is no need for purchased fertilizer. If indigenous organisms suppress disease through competition, pesticide markets shrink. If soil feeds itself through biological processes, the entire dependency model collapses. Korean natural farming threatened an entire economic architecture. That is why Master Cho was arrested. That is why you were never taught this in any school. That is why agricultural extension curricula rarely mentions soil biology as a primary fertility strategy, while government subsidies for synthetic fertilizer purchases exceed $50 billion globally every single year. They created dependency because dependency is profitable. They sold you dead soil so they could sell you the chemicals to keep it producing. They taught you that biology was too complicated for farmers to manage while handing you a bag of synthetic nitrogen that anyone could pour from a truck. 1.7 billion people now live in areas where crop yields are measurably reduced due to human-induced land degradation. 33% of Earth's soils are moderately to highly degraded, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization. By 2050, projections suggest over 90% of land could be substantially degraded if current trends continue unaltered. Soil erosion from conventionally tilled farmland exceeds soil formation by 2 orders of magnitude, meaning we lose soil 100 times faster than nature creates it. Between 50 million and 700 million people may be forced to migrate due to degraded lands and failing agricultural systems. Meanwhile, healthy soil sequesters carbon from the atmosphere, buffers climate extremes, filters water, supports biodiversity, and regenerates itself indefinitely. The solution to the soil crisis has existed since 1966. It costs almost nothing. It requires no corporation, no government approval, no permission from any institution. Just a bucket, a potato, and the life already beneath your feet waiting to be cultivated. So what happens now that you know? Recognize that soil is alive. Every handful contains billions of organisms performing functions that no synthetic input can replicate through chemistry alone. When someone tells you soil is just minerals requiring purchased amendments, ask yourself who profits from that story. Stop poisoning indiscriminately. Herbicides kill soil biology alongside weeds. Excessive synthetic fertilizers collapse microbial diversity while creating the conditions for disease. Every chemical choice you make has a biological consequence that may take years or decades to reverse. Learn the methods. Start with Jada Microbial Solution, the boiled potato technique described today. Research Korean natural farming inputs including fermented plant juice and lactic acid bacteria solutions. The resources are completely free. The Jadam website publishes everything without charge. University of Hawaii. Extension services document the techniques in peer-reviewed publications anyone can access. Apply locally. The microbes from your nearby forest are adapted to your climate, your soil, your specific ecosystem. They have evolved there for thousands of years. No commercial inoculant shipped from another continent in sterile packaging can match indigenous biology cultivated from your own land. They told us soil was dead. They sold us the chemicals to keep it producing despite that supposed deadness. They arrested the man who proved them wrong, beat him until they thought he was dead, and watched him stand back up and keep teaching for another 50 years until his methods became national policy in his own country. Master Cho trained 18,000 people personally. His son has reached 100,000 more through free publications and open knowledge sharing. The techniques spread across the internet despite every institutional resistance because they work, because they cost nothing, because they cannot be patented or controlled or suppressed forever by any industry, however wealthy. A bucket, a potato, a handful of forest floor, 36 hours of patience. That is all it takes to breed billions of microscopic allies that will work for you for free, for as long as you allow them to live in your soil. The knowledge was never truly lost. It was hidden by economic interests, buried under marketing budgets, obscured by institutional curricula designed to create customers rather than cultivate independence. But knowledge does not stay buried forever. Now you know what they tried to hide. If this vault opens something for you, subscribe and share with those who need to hear it. Every like helps preserve wisdom they spent decades trying to bury. The next vault opens soon.